Modern psychology often treats personality as a static collection of traits. Frameworks like the Big Five, a model grouping human behavior into 5 broad dimensions, or the Myers-Briggs matrix, attempt to categorize individuals into fixed typologies. They suggest you are born with a specific configuration that dictates how you react to the world. The Brazilian philosopher Olavo de Carvalho rejected this static model. He proposed that personality is not a biological given, but a dynamic structure that must be actively constructed over time through distinct evolutionary stages. To measure this development, Carvalho introduced the concept of the dominant objective. Your psychological location is defined entirely by the central aim that organizes your efforts, your attention, and your suffering at any given moment. Personality, therefore, is not a fixed label. It is a measurement of your developmental location. It maps how far your consciousness has expanded its motivational horizon. Carvalho maps its expansion across 12 concentric layers, forming a nested hierarchy of human motives. As an individual matures, their psychological center of gravity moves outward from the innermost ring. Each outward step activates a wider, more complex layer of motivation. We can group these 12 layers into 3 broad epochs to understand the progression. The inner rings form the physical epoch. The middle rings represent the affective and utilitarian epoch. The outer rings constitute the universal and transcendent epoch. True psychological maturity requires the continuous outward expansion of this horizon, moving from base physical needs all the way to universal agency. The first epoch begins entirely in the physical realm. Layer 1 is defined by the appropriation of the body. A newborn moves its limbs to map the exact boundary between its own physical self and the strange external world. In Layer 2, the objective expands beyond the body to external objects. The individual learns to categorize instincts and desires, selecting specific foods they prefer or toys they want to possess. Layer 3 marks the entry into the social game. The individual recognizes that other entities have independent wills. Physical force is no longer sufficient to get what they want. They must adopt language, rules, and negotiation. This entire first epoch establishes the self as an independent agent within a physical and basic social space. However, it operates without any conception of long-term time or complex moral duty. Layer 4 brings the individual into the second epoch, developing a sense of emotional history, a distinct past and future. Here, the dominant objective becomes maximizing subjective happiness and avoiding emotional pain. This chart shows biological age rising steadily against an individual's motivational horizon. Notice how the horizon frequently flatlines at Layer 4. Carvalho observed that massive portions of the adult population arrest their psychological development right here, remaining entirely consumed by the need for emotional validation. To escape this volatility, the objective must shift from happiness to victory. In Layer 5, the individual seeks self-affirmation, aiming to prove their own capability and strength to themselves, regardless of external validation. Once self-confidence is secured, the individual moves to Layer 6, utilitarian function. The dominant objective is obtaining objective results. Efficiency, scheduling, and concrete output override subjective emotional states. Layer 7 integrates this personal organization with the wider community. The individual adopts professional codes, duties, and loyalties to secure a recognized social role and achieve true citizenship. Biological adulthood does not guarantee functional adulthood. Reaching a mature state requires breaking past the gravity of emotional validation in Layer 4 and operating entirely within the objective utility and social duties of Layers 6 and 7. This developmental map reveals a strict epistemological limit known as the Axiom of Incomprehensibility. An individual can only comprehend the motivations of their current layer and the layers below it. Higher layers are entirely invisible. Consider a parent attempting to negotiate with a toddler. The parent operates from the social rules of Layer 3, but the child is firmly in Layer 2, focused solely on physical desires. The child interprets the parent's logic not as reason, but as a frustrating physical imposition of force. This exact mechanic drives adult societal friction. A population trapped in Layer 4's pursuit of emotional validation literally cannot perceive the motivations of an administrator operating from Layer 6's objective utility. They will interpret administrative efficiency as cold, hostile, or malicious. Much of human conflict stems directly from this structural mismatch. It is not always an ideological disagreement. It is a clash of developmental layers where the combatants perceive entirely different realities. The final epoch moves from adapting to society to determining it. In Layer 8, the individual develops a moral conscience, examining their life against universal standards. By Layer 9, they form an intellectual personality, where the dominant objective becomes the pursuit of objective truth, independent of societal codes. In Layer 10, the individual actively imposes their will and vision onto the current society, overriding existing norms and established theories to reshape the social order. Vladimir Lenin exemplifies Layer 10. He overrode classical Marxist theory, which required a mature industrial working class, to force a proletarian revolution in Russia, a country that completely lacked a proletariat. Layer 11 expands this imposition of will across time. The individual acts to predict and shape long-term historical outcomes, operating on a timeline that outlasts their own life. Harry Hopkins operated at this layer as an advisor to Franklin D. Roosevelt. Hopkins held little formal executive power, yet he shaped the historical trajectory of the mid-20th century far beyond his nominal societal role. Layer 12 is the ultimate stage. The individual ceases to act on personal will entirely, recognizing themselves as a conscious, direct instrument of a transcendent or divine force. Padre Pio is Carvalho's explicit example of Layer 12. He operated with the understanding that a higher decisional center was acting through him, allowing him to accomplish feats that defied physical possibility. These highest layers require total detachment from societal approval. The individual completely transforms from a participant in society into a force that shapes history and reality itself. Advancing stages relies on subsumption. Higher layers do not erase previous ones, they convert them into instruments. The physical discipline of Layer 1, language of Layer 3, and emotions of Layer 4 are all subjugated to serve the objective results of Layer 6. A mature personality retains basic emotions and physical needs, but it masters and repurposes them to serve a higher central objective. Carvalho provided a specific diagnostic tool to identify someone's active layer. You must ask what they are seeking, but more importantly, you must ask, where does it hurt? What specific type of failure causes them the most profound suffering? If a lack of affection or social validation destroys their worldview, they are firmly anchored in Layer 4. If failing to execute an objective task ruins them, they have reached Layer 6. Carvalho noted President Lula possessed the Layer 6 capability to execute objectives. In contrast, Dilma Rousseff remained trapped in lower layers of validation, failing objectively. Psychological maturity is not guaranteed by biological age or professional status. It is a grueling, active construction project. It requires the continuous, outward expansion of your motivational horizon.